rules have changed considerably. They've made it put real emphasis on scoring, and so they've, I think, helped out the offensive players in current years. They protect the quarterback more. Back in my day, boy, guys were, they could take all kinds of shots at the quarterback and stuff, but today you can't do that.
Is it a fair assessment when one says that it's become more of a passing game rather than a running game? Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I wouldn't say the demise of the running back is an issue. I think the running backs are still important. The running game is still important. But yes, they are passing the football. They're throwing the football. It has had an impact on youth football. Kids that would normally play running back are now playing wide receiver, and they're putting more emphasis on the passing game, even in Pop Warner and high school. And so it certainly has impacted, I think, the game. But listen, as long as there's a balance, I think, it's important. I think you can't just win by throwing the ball.
It's become an almost familiar outcome with the Super Bowl, hasn't it? The New England Patriots are just regular customers to the title. Who do you think is likely to knock them off their perch?
Well, when is Tom going to leave? That's the big question, I think. Because it appears as long as he's there and as long as the Patriots have good players around him, they have a chance to win. At the beginning of the year, I don't think anybody thought that the Patriots would be in the Super Bowl. There was a stretch that they weren't playing very well. They lost that game to Miami on the last play of the game that, everybody looked at, wow, I mean, that kind of thing never happens to the Patriots. Are their days numbered? Well, they were back in the Super Bowl and they won. Defensively, they played great. They played fantastic. Offensively, they didn't do a great deal, but they did enough to win. Now, who can take them off their perch? I don't know. But we've always thought the Steelers, they didn't play well. They had the firepower, but they didn't get there. The Rams are a team, and the Chiefs are a team, I think, that could potentially give the Patriots trouble.
And you talked about Tom Brady. How does he compare with Joe Montana, do you think? Well,
I always say I think Joe's the greatest because I played with Joe. I've never played with Tom, But you look at what people say about the two. They're pretty much similar. I've never gotten in a huddle with a guy that is calm and has more confidence, but isn't vocal. Doesn't say a great deal, but just gives you a little nod and a little wink, and you know that he's ready to go. I mean, he reminds me, if you've ever seen the movie Cool Hand Luke, he is the most calm and cool guy under the most dire circumstance. And, Joe used to throw me passes without even looking at me. He just had this great leadership skill about him now. I hear the same thing about Tom. And you can, now that there are cameras everywhere and microphones everywhere, you can actually, you can hear Tom's leadership, on the sidelines and how he reacts in dire situations when everybody needs him to make a play, and the fact that he's come through time and time again. That doesn't happen by accident.
Bill Belichick seems to have built his dynasty already. I'd love to get your thoughts on his legendary status in the game.
Well, what is a great coach? I think, I like to say, listen here, I mean, a great coach fine-tunes great talent. And he has done it better than anyone. They may be players on that defensive side of the ball that you'll never hear their name. They may not be mentioned, highly in the landscape of football, but they'll end up with, 4 or 5 rings. Why? What does he do? He realizes what's important, and he gets his guys to focus on their job, not to worry about anyone else. focus on their job. And if everybody does their job, they'll be successful. And he's done that better than anybody. It's clear, I mean, he's one step ahead of everybody. Schematically, you give him 2 weeks and he'll shut you down. He shut down the Rams. I mean, he knows what he's doing. There's 2 types of people, 2 types of coaches, those who know and those who don't. Bill Belichick knows. He knows what he's doing, and he is proven it.